This is an AI-generated podcast based on the article Shawver, When Identity Breaks, Faith Rebuilds, written by April. The article link is in the show notes. Hey everyone, welcome back to Kingdom Factor Collective. I'm April, and wow, today's conversation is one I've been really looking forward to. I'm here with Shawver, who has this incredible story of transformation that, honestly, it's raw and it's real. JJ, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, April. Really glad to be here.
So I want to jump right in, because your story starts in a place that looked pretty perfect from the outside, right? World-class gymnast, Division I football at University of Idaho, following in your dad's footsteps. But then senior year hits and everything changes. Can you take us back to that moment when your dad was diagnosed?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, I had built my life around performance, around athletics and achievements, and doing what I thought would make people proud of me. My dad was my hero, my measuring stick for everything. And then, during senior year, he was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. 5 weeks later, he was gone. The foundation of my identity it shattered overnight.
5 weeks? I mean, that's no time to process anything. And you grew up in this tiny farming town in southern Idaho, right? What was that like, having your entire identity wrapped up in one person?
Yeah, 331 people. The kind of place where family names carry weight and reputations span generations. My dad was 50 when I was born, same age as many of my friends' grandparents. So from an early age, I was hyper aware that something could happen to him before I was ready. But I still built my entire identity around him. When he died, I didn't just lose my hero. I lost a blueprint for who I thought I was.
That's really powerful. And from what I understand, this led to some pretty dark years. You quit class, quit practice, and eventually ended up struggling with opioid addiction for nearly 7 years. How does a high-performing athlete like you end up there?
High performers have this dangerous adaptability, We can function on the outside while falling apart on the inside, and we can do it for a long time. Addiction wasn't a choice I made one morning. It was a solution that worked until it didn't. It's subtle, yet calculated, a slow rewiring of reward systems in the brain that feels almost inevitable if you don't understand what's happening.
That's really interesting, because you've become fascinated with neuroscience through all of this. What made you start digging into the science behind what was happening to you?
Well, I kept asking myself, why could someone like me, disciplined, driven, accomplished, end up here? What was happening in my brain? For years, I'd been told that drug use permanently destroys brain cells, that once you cross certain lines, there's no coming back. That fear haunted me after 6 hard years of opioid abuse. But then I discovered neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new patterns through repetition and intentional practice.
Okay, so unpack that for me. How does neuroplasticity actually work in recovery?
So the more you reinforce a new behavior, the stronger it becomes. The less you reinforce an old one, the weaker it gets. I describe it like driving down a muddy road. The first time through isn't hard, but the more you drive the same path, the deeper the ruts get. Changing direction takes work, but it's possible. And here's what stuns me: the correlation between cutting-edge brain science and principles the Bible had been teaching for over 2,000 years. Renewing the mind, taking thoughts captive, being transformed by changing how you think. The manual had been there all along. People just weren't reading it.
Wow, that's a profound connection. Faith gave me the foundation, but neuroscience gave me the language for the process. I love how you put that together. So where did faith fit into your recovery? Because you grew up Catholic, right?
Yeah, devout Catholic family. I served hundreds of hours as an altar server, even considered becoming a priest. But after my father's death, church felt hollow. I was mad at God, mad at myself, mad at everyone. For years, I treated faith like a Sunday obligation. It wasn't until my 30s that I understood what I've been missing: a daily relationship with the Lord, not a weekly routine.
That shift from routine to relationship, that changes everything. What does that look like practically for you now?
I make it a practice to have steady conversation with God throughout the day. Before I ask anyone else a question, I ask the Lord first. Why rely on external factors when the one who knows everyone's purpose is available 24/7, right? And I wish I could go back and tell my younger self that life doesn't become easy when you walk closely with God, but it becomes worth it.
You've also talked about the shift from building the JJ brand to becoming a vessel. Can you walk me through that transformation? Because that's a huge identity shift.
For much of my life, I invested my time, talent, and resources into building the JJ brand. It was all self-serving. Grow the name, grow the reputation, prove the worth. Then came the mindset shift that changed everything. None of this would be possible without God. Today, my focus is singular. Be the best vessel I can possibly be. In a world obsessed with followers, subscriptions, and likes, I'm choosing a different metric. My work exists to glorify the one who made it all possible in the first place.
That's beautiful. And now you run Always Developing Leaders, where you teach the intersection of neuroscience and faith-based leadership. What's your message to other Christian business leaders who might feel stuck or, disqualified by their past?
Stop waiting to feel ready. Being ready doesn't mean you feel prepared. It means you understand you were put on this earth for a reason and that God has called you into something greater than where you are right now. Identity comes first, behavior follows. You can't change behavior and expect identity to catch up. You have to know who you are internally, and then the behavior will align. People have it backwards, and that's why so many are stuck.
That's so good. And you're passionate about reaching people who feel disqualified by their past, right?
Absolutely. You may be wounded, but you're not disqualified. If my story proves anything, it's that God uses broken vessels, maybe even prefers them. Does that make sense?
It does. It really does. And I love that you're actually taking your 6-year-old son on a 14-day road trip from Idaho to Charlotte for the C-Suite for Christ Summit. Tell me about that.
Yeah, it's an intentional living experience, a father-son journey documenting faith, leadership, and legacy in real time. For me, it's another step in stewarding well what I've been given and teaching my son to do the same. So many people want faith to be convenient, but following Jesus was never presented as easy. It's worth it though. Living with integrity isn't always easy. Forgiving people isn't always easy. Breaking generational patterns isn't always easy, but it's worth it.
JJ, this has been incredible. Your story is such a powerful reminder that our wounds don't disqualify us. They can actually become the very thing God uses to reach others. Thank you so much for sharing so openly today.
Thanks for having me, April. Really appreciate it.
For everyone listening, you can find the full article and links to connect with JJ in the show notes. If today's conversation resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with someone who might need to hear it. Until next time, keep building the kingdom in your business.